Good afternoon, everybody. Happy holidays and welcome to Aria on Air. Today we have with us Dr. Venkat Gudivada. Good afternoon, Dr. Venkat Gudivada.
Good afternoon.
So he is our Provost, Dean of Computer Science at Aria University. Dr. Gudivada, it's indeed a privilege that we are finally having you join us on Aria on Air. It's been a great journey for me personally, having you as my mentor and also the head of the whole entire team at Aria. Thank you for your time. Before we get into the more insights of what we want to talk and share your experiences, please tell me about yourself.
Sure. Okay. So as I was introduced, my name is Venkat Gudivada. I was born and raised in India. So I was born in a small village. I still remember, 24 families in the village. So we had elementary school that was established during British time, and one teacher, one room school, all 5 grades. That one teacher will teach every subject for all the 5 grades, 1 to 5.
That's really fascinating to hear.
No, that's true. Maybe nowadays it's very hard to believe such schools exist.
Yeah.
But indeed, that school was there until 10 years ago. And now nobody wants to study in the government schools. So there's no enrollment. Finally the government has to shut down that school, and nowadays the trend is going to private schools.
Okay. So just for the audience benefit, so the government schools are kind of the public schools that we have here, right? Back in India,
Yes.
they're called government schools.
Yeah, these are public elementary school.
Great.
So I had a teacher. He was very inspiring teacher. So if I look back at that teacher now, I couldn't believe how he did teach that many students, all 5 grades, all subjects. But he was very inspiring. Every time he taught, he showed a lot of energy, caring for students and learning. So somehow he planted this idea that I'm very good at math.
Wow.
Okay, so when he emphasized that, then he was saying I should actually become an engineer. Okay, that idea came when I was in elementary school. Then I went to high school, and it was 2 hours, actually 2 kilometers away from our village. So we used to walk in the morning, come back in the evening. So high school went, and then I went to nearby city. It's called, it's actually town, Chittoor. That's where I did my 11th and 12th. We call it intermediate 1, intermediate 2. Then I studied my engineering at Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University in Anantapur. So I started as a mechanical engineer. After 1 year, I changed my mind for whatever reason. I just wanted to study civil engineering.
Wow.
So, so then I graduated, from there, and there are a lot of people who wanted to go abroad. So that idea was planted when I was in my 3rd year of engineering. So then I came to United States. I did my master's in structural engineering. I was doing my thesis. Even that time it was about how we could produce solar energy on a large scale. So that was in a civil engineering component, was how we design these solar ball receivers. We pass water through a pipe because of the heat, it will become steam, and the steam is used to drive a turbine. So then I was so much involved in writing simulations for this project. I got interested in computer science. Then I moved on to computer science. I did my master's and a PhD in computer science from University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
So you have a double master's and a...
Right, I have my master's in structural engineering.
Wow.
And my master's in computer science.
Computer science.
Yeah, then
That's
I moved on to
amazing.
PhD as well.
I want to cut short here. So what was your family's first reaction from that small village to the incremental growth of you getting to the higher education in a city in South India?
Right.
And then straight away that dream coming into a reality and landing you here in US? How was that feeling of your persuasion that led you here, and your family's influence of not just the seeding of your thought process,
right,
and what nourishing that into a reality?
Right. So I think my father, he was never interested in me going beyond high school.
Really?
Right? He was okay, once you go to high school, you learn how to read and write, basic arithmetic. So he wanted me to continue his tradition of being a farmer. We have some lands, even now we have lands.
Okay.
And his dream was, this tradition has been there in the family for centuries, and he doesn't want me to kind of give up agriculture, right, and be a farmer.
Yes.
But it was when I went to PUC or Intermediate 1 and 2 in Chittoor, he was okay because I used to go in the morning, come back in the evening. But when I went away to Anantapur, it was quite far, from that perspective. So he was not at all happy. But I think once I persisted, he understood. My heart is not in agriculture. Why force him to do that?
That's true.
So coming to US is even more difficult because now we have internet and all these communication mechanisms. At that time it was not there, and it was hard. But I think they get used to it over a period of time. It's still hard.
It's still hard.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's a great, inspiring journey, Dr. Gudivada.
Right. One interesting thing, that this question triggered me, like when I was working at the university, they wrote a newsletter about me, and the title of that newsletter is From Village to Wall Street. I actually worked on Wall Street as well.
Really?
Yeah, so that was, I don't know whether I still have that article, but it was...
You should be sharing that to all our viewers. I would actually have that on our Facebook page. Yeah, that would be a great motivation to not just us, but to all other generations, like, your perseverance, like how important it is to stay connected to what you believe you can achieve, right? Like, a lot of people just drift away, especially I see that in a lot of youngsters.
Yeah.
Not that it is okay and great idea to be experimental, but sticking to what you really believe you want to, that seriousness is very important, and you are a great example.
Thank you.
The respect is always immense, but it took 3-4 levels up now. Such a great inspiring story.
My father, he learned a little bit in Telugu, basic arithmetic. One thing I learned from him is he never really involved with my education. But one thing I indirectly learned from him is hard work and being honest. So one thing he kind of demonstrated through his living is if you can give some money to other people, if you can, that's a great situation to be in. But you should take a lot of pride in living within your means and not taking money without working from anyone.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I cut you short because that was really very inspiring, and I really wanted to have a deep dig into your true, sense of your serious thought process to getting to US. Thank you so much. That's very inspiring. So, how did it land up you getting into the teaching side of the profession here in US? Because when you have MS Computer Science, it's but natural for you to get into a techie job, right?
Right. I think that's true. Actually, after my masters, and a lot of my classmates, they all went to industry. I think many of them actually came to Bay Area as well. I don't have touch with all of them. So some of them went on to do big things in Oracle and other companies. Some of them had their own startup companies. They became successful that way. But I think I had this. My teacher was always in my mind. My elementary school teacher. So he was able to actually give education to so many people. So I thought one way to pay tribute to my elementary school teacher is me be a teacher, be a professor after my PhD. So that's for the reason when everybody went to industry job, I went on to study PhD. And naturally, when I study PhD, what happens is the first job people think about is going to university, become a professor. So that's what I did for first in a few years. Then for some reason I had this desire, in academia, many people they have bookish knowledge, right? You don't have the industry practice.
Yes.
Of course, engineers is an exception. Some engineers have both bookish knowledge as well as practical experience. But in computer science, I thought, okay, I know the bookish knowledge. It's also good for me to kind of go to industry and see how it's applied in industry. So I quit my academic job. I went to New York. and I joined in a Merrill Lynch. It's a, now it's called, Merrill Lynch is no longer there. It's acquired by Bank of America. It's
Yes.
merged with the Bank of America.
True.
So I worked for about 6 years in New York City. It was a big change going from academic life to New York, where they say that Wall Street is under, working in Wall Street like you're in a pressure cooker environment.
Oh yeah,
Right?
definitely.
It doesn't really matter how much money you need, but we want to get things done right away. So if you start a project, if you ask your supervisor, when is this project due? The standard answer is it was due 6 months ago. Right? So that means if it can be done tomorrow, it should be done by tomorrow. So it was a very great experience, and I had this misconception that a lot of smart people stay in universities, but I also saw a lot of bright people in industry doing very interesting things. It was a very rewarding experience. Then after that I said, okay, my heart is still in university. Now that I have been in industry, I have seen, so I wanted to go back to university, and then I returned to academia.
Great, you have the best mix of both worlds. So you have your, so just a curious side. So seeing both worlds, how many patents do you have?
No, actually, I could have applied for patents. So in industry, what happens is in any little thing you do, you apply for a patent.
Yes.
Because the companies have dedicated lawyers. They take care of patent work, but universities they don't really encourage.
Oh, they don't?
Patents.
Oh.
Some universities they encourage, but overall because the cost involved. Even most recent work I did in 2017 to 2022, I got a grant, a $2 million grant from National Science Foundation on how we could personalize the learning. So many people said I should patent that idea, but
Great.
to date I have not done any patents. Yeah.
That's amazing, amazing to know. That's actually a great information. We were not aware of that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that as well. So how did your journey begin as, again, back on the teaching side? A little more insight on that. And where did you start before coming to Bay Area?
Right. Before coming to Bay Area, I was in a university called East Carolina University. It's one of the 17 universities in the University of North Carolina system. So prior to that, I also worked in a short time at University of Michigan. Before that, I was at University of Missouri. Actually, they changed the name now. It's called Missouri University of Science and Technology. I also had a 3 years of stay at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio.
Wow.
So recently, I was at East Carolina University. One of my research interests is in natural language processing, computational linguistics, machine learning. So I had this idea that all the work in computational linguistics done on the English language, and maybe some other languages like for example Spanish, French. There may be one or two other languages, but there's no computational linguistics research done for any of the Indian languages.
That's true.
So I started, we need to do something, instead of complaining, somebody need to do something about it. So I just started my work in computational linguistics as it applies to, Indian languages. So then I also established a web site. It's called Telugu, Telugu,
Ma Telugu. Oh,
Right.
wonderful.
So, it's very hard, given the scope of work, you need more like-minded people. So I created that static web site that calling for people, volunteers who are interested in being part of this activity to join. And at the same time, one fine morning, I got a call from Anand in Kuchipudi. Right, so he was, I think he saw my contact on LinkedIn, and he was saying, we're doing some work in computational linguistics. So he had that conversation. He also connected me with Raju Chamati. He's the CEO of Aria University.
Yes.
So I had a conversation with both of them. So then they asked me to come to Bay Area to meet with us, to kind of learn about what they're doing. So that was really the turning point. I came and I talked to several people here on that visit. So then I thought, okay, in the spiritual world they say that if you keep looking for a guru, a similar thing happened, right? When I was trying to do something about Telugu linguistics, here is Manabadi programs and the University of Silicon Andhra at that time, they're already quite ahead in doing this. So instead of me trying to do this all over just by myself, it's better to join the team which already has done big work in this area. So that's how I got drawn to Aria University.
That's amazing. To all our viewers, just to know, on our website www.arya.edu, you have all this information, how Aria began, where did it start from, what was the mission and the vision of Aria. Please do have a look at our mission and vision statement. And not just that, we also have our spring classes commencing from next year, January 2026. Admissions in progress. Please do visit our website arya.edu. Thank you so much, Dr. Gudivada. I was to also ask you how your journey into Aria began, but that's amazing journey. I'm sure when it comes to any university, accreditation is the main factor of validation of your degrees or whatever courseworks the university offers. So is there any difference from the universities that you have taught before versus to the western side? Like what kind of accreditations? Because it's just not for the university perspective to understand. For any student who says, when we are saying Aria University is an accredited university, a little more insight of what actually accreditation means to any university and what types of accreditations have you been involved in?
Sure, yeah. So United States Department of Education, they recognize certain bodies as accreditation agencies, like Western Association of Schools and Colleges, University Commission here for the western part of the United States. Usually they call it WASC. It's an accreditation body for most of the universities in California, maybe Oregon, Washington State, further down to maybe New Mexico. So for different parts, like in the Midwest, they have something called Higher Learning Commission, HLC. And the East Coast, we have something called SACS, Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. So I think pretty much there are, I don't know exactly how many, but there may be 4 or 5 accreditation agencies across the United States. They're all recognized by the United States Department of Education.
Okay.
So what these accreditation bodies do is they will examine every aspect of education at the university. Okay, do they have the right curriculum? Do they have the right faculty? Are the faculty up to date with what they're teaching? And also, when a course is taught, is the right faculty with the right expertise? And also measuring the course and the learning outcomes and relating it with the program learning objectives. And also the accreditation agencies would like to keep the universities keeping track of where are these graduates, what are they doing after graduation, how their lives have improved because of education that they have received. So continuous quality improvement, continuous process improvement. They look at many aspects of whether an institution has all the resources, all the infrastructure that's needed to run a quality educational programs. So it's very important to have accreditation, because some accreditation agency has verified the university has the right faculty, resources, infrastructure, and policies and procedures in place, so that you receive a degree that's a valuable degree. So it's important to go to a university that has an accreditation from one of these agencies. There are plenty of universities that they operate without accreditation. I think there's nothing illegal about it, just that the university doesn't have accreditation. So HLC, Higher Learning Commission, Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, and it was like if you're in the western part of the United States, you work with WASC. If you're in the eastern part of the United States, you work with SACS. But I think
Science.
recently they have removed that restriction.
Okay.
So WASC can actually accredit universities that are in the East Coast. So you can actually choose which accreditation body you want to work with, but before that it's a jurisdiction. If you are in
Okay.
these states, you go with WASC.
Just that accreditation
Right.
agency.
So
So now it's like general.
Yeah, now, like for example, Aria University, we are WASC accredited. If you wanted to go with HLC, nobody will prevent us. But there should be some good reason why we wanted to leave WASC and go to HLC.
Right.
But I think the government, the Department of Education, they kind of loosened this in a way that universities are not forced to work with only one accreditor. They could choose, whichever accreditor that was recognized by the United States and the Department of Education.
That's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. It's just not for everyone, it is also for us to understand why accreditation is important, and Aria University is indeed privileged, and it's a pride for us to say that we are WASC accredited.
Right. One other thing I would add is, often people think of accreditation as a compliance, right?
Yes.
Accreditation agency require you to do this, right? You have a checklist. But I think, we at ARIA look at it a little bit differently. It's not only compliance, it's also accountability,
Yes.
right? We are operating as a university. We are doing these things not because somebody else is monitoring us. We want to do these things because that's the right thing to do for our students.
Great. So when we have these accreditants, how is it different from a BPP? What is a BPP for the benefit of audience? Because we also see this terminology saying that it's a BPP approved and also WASC accredited, right? So a
Right.
little more.
So BPPE is in a Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education. That's very specific to California.
Okay.
So California state and the government has this organization called BPPE. Their job is to work with private universities in the state of California to make sure that the California state has other requirements. So BPPE will enforce those requirements on private universities, not on state universities. So every, including Stanford, is a private university. So all private universities are also monitored by BPPE for compliance. So they do have certain requirements, like your catalog need to have the structure, students need to be informed of these procedures and policies. So they're somewhat in a complement of what WASC does. WASC has a bigger picture, whereas BPPE is more of representing the student interests. What happens, students need to be told of certain practices, like exactly what is the tuition fees, how much is the books and other expenses. So they're really watching out for students' interests. So really, they complement each other.
They complement each other.
But BPP is only for California.
Okay, great point. So when it comes to your portfolio has teaching and non-teaching staff as well, right? So how important for the teaching staff, because ours is a complete online university when it comes to the arts and the sciences program, especially music, dance related and language related courses are completely online. And our staff is all PhD holders.
Right.
And how is it on the advantageous side for any university, and especially when it comes to ARIA, that we say, like, all our professors are having a PhD degree. Why is it important that we have such a criteria?
Right, okay. So, PhD is important in the sense that, when you do your bachelor's degree, you acquire certain level of knowledge, right? When you go to master's degree, it incrementally adds to what you know. Maybe you acquire more knowledge, more skills. When you do PhD, it's not only acquiring knowledge. In PhD, one major component is, how can you actually contribute to creating a new body of knowledge, right? You have two functions as a PhD professor. You're teaching students the existing knowledge and skills, but as a professor, you also need to contribute to creating a new body of knowledge. So for our audience, and if you think about 40 years ago, there were no mobile phones, right? There were then smartphones came after that. Any advances that you see in mobile phone technology or smartphones, it's all because of research. If you look at the airplane travel, it's a lot safer now than it was 40 years ago. This is because of research. So similar things with performing arts, languages. These professors also involved in research. So when you work with a professor that has a PhD, you are really not learning from textbooks. You're also learning from their own research experiences. So that's one great point for Aria University is all these professors, they're so accomplished in their profession. Not only they've been teaching for long, but they also been doing research for long. And compared to sciences, engineering, this is something I learned after coming to Aria University. These professors are lifetime practitioners, right? So when you learn from one of these professors, you really get the cumulative experience of many years of teaching and practicing, right? They're just like medical doctors. They teach, they also practice. All these professors in performing arts, they're also performers themselves as well. So you get the benefit of not only the knowledge systems of these areas, but also the practical aspect of how to perform these Kuchipudi, for example, Carnatic music, and many others that we have here.
Very true, very true. So for all the details of the accomplished and the distinguished professors that we have at Aria, we have all the information shared in our website. Please do visit aria.edu, and be it in linguistics, be it in other performing arts, dance or music, we have all the information that you need, and please do check and apply, and based on the eligibility, you will be enrolled in certificate, diploma or master's program. So I would want to move on to the next point, iPads. So what exactly is iPads and how is it really important for any university?
Right. So iPads is a national body, is at the federal level in the United States. So what they do is they collect various statistics about all the universities that operate in the United States. If students need to receive federal financial aid, so the university actually be affiliated with iPads, and they require certain reporting data and reporting at certain intervals every year. So if students need to receive a federal financial aid, iPads reporting is mandatory for universities. Okay, whereas the university is not interested in for students applying for federal financial aid, iPads reporting is optional. Okay, so but many universities actually submit the data to iPads. So they actually collect across the country, across various types of institutions, from four-year colleges to all the way to PhD granting departments. I think they can produce in a very. You can go to their iPads on a website. You can see a lot of statistics about various majors or disciplines like Kuchipudi dance, or civil engineering, or computer science. They provide various summaries. You can also see the trends. They also project actually display what are the starting salaries for various disciplines. It's a great piece of data repository.
Wow.
That you could inquire about various disciplines or majors that are offered across various universities in the United States.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So Aria University does submit data to iPads. So even though we're not approved, we have not applied yet for federal financial aid. That's something that we are working on to get United States government approval for federal financial aid. Nevertheless, we do submit all our data to iPads on a regular basis.
That's wonderful. It's great to see the compliances and all aspects taken care. Though there's a big notion that just because it's an online university, the accreditation, the compliances, or even having those records to date, can be not taken so seriously, or is kind of an option. but nonetheless we are up to the records and we have all the compliances intact. Thanks to the wonderful team and under the guidance of your leadership and the previous leadership and CEOs and presidents and all the board. It's a great honor that we are all part of Aria. And next follow-up question is, how important is it for the staff training programs? Because we also keep intact of all the training programs, be it for the staff teaching or non-teaching. Why are they important?
Right, I think the world is changing so fast. So we all need to keep up with what's called professional development. So we have professional development activities both for staff. When we say staff, it's people involved with outreach, admissions, records, faculty support services. A lot of things happen behind the scenes. Right? Students only see professors in the classroom, but to support these, there are a lot of people working behind the scenes. We call them staff. They do work on many things to make things happen smoothly at Aria University. So, for example, we had the faculty professional development series. We met every week. There was a faculty development seminar activity the entire fall 2025 semester. So faculty were, they learned through these faculty development workshops. For example, how to make your online learning more effective. Or what are the software tools that are available to make preparing lectures in a more interesting, or save faculty time, or even publishing research papers. What kind of tools are available that would help faculty members, whatever research they have done, speed up that process to publish. So likewise, even staff, all the staff directors of various units, they went to ARC 2025 that was held in Orange County. ARC is Accreditation Resources Conference. So they also go to some specific events that are appropriate for their job function. So it's very important that we all keep up with the recent happenings, so that we are ready to provide the best service that students and others expect from Aria University. So faculty and staff professional development is something that happens on a regular basis, so that we do our jobs well.
Great insights. Thank you, Dr. Gudivada. So we have your enrichment courses, you have bridge courses, certificates, diploma, masters. So what next? Are we looking into the PhD proposals, and if yes, a little more insight on that?
Yeah, sure. So we, I think this journey, before my time at Aria, the founders and other people, great people that have been working at Aria for quite many years, last 7 years. So they thought about PhD programs actually more than 3 years ago. They have been laying the groundwork, for applying for PhD programs. And indeed, we did apply for 2 PhD programs to WASC for their approval. The first one is in a PhD program in Indian classical dance. The second PhD program is in Indian classical music. So right now, the dance program is being pursued. There's a 4-step process in the approval. So we went through the first 2 steps. Then there are 2 more steps that need to be completed. At this point of time, we do not have the approval yet. It is in the process. So, but we are on the path to get these PhD programs in place. Until we get the WASC approval, we do not know when, but certainly the university's strategic plan is to have PhD programs in Indian classical dance, Indian classical music, and also PhD program in Telugu, and subsequent PhD programs later on. As the saying goes, it's a little bit hard to get the first program established, first PhD program, because we need to have certain infrastructure, certain other aspects of instruction in place. But once one PhD program is in place, it's a little bit relatively easier to get approvals for subsequent PhD programs. So it's a very exciting exciting situation for Aria University to be able to offer PhD programs, and we're looking forward to WASC approvals on this. It is in the pipeline. and we're waiting for that decision. It can come sometime in the next couple of months.
Great. So 2026 certainly is promising to Aria with the proposal of PhD finally taking shape and seeing the light. That's very exciting, Dr. Gudivada. So I think we have had a great discussion so far on Aria. I would want to now go a little bit on your personal interest. What does that really interest you? Because I see you talking a lot on spiritual lessons that you seek. And what is your passion or your free time? What is that you would do?
Right, my passion is all along, I'm very much fond of people's mother tongues. Okay, whatever is your mother tongue, that's the most beautiful language in the world, right?
Oh.
So if I say my mother tongue is Telugu, it doesn't mean that I do not like other languages. But right from the beginning, I have this idea of using information technology, advances in computer hardware and software, to preserve and promote all natural languages, whether they're spoken in India or spoken elsewhere. But as the saying goes, the charity begins at home. So if Telugu is my mother tongue, my work should actually be how we could use the advances in information technology, cloud computing, now Gen AI, AI in general, all these tools to preserve, promote, and celebrate in the languages. So really, that's my passion. Whenever I say, okay, I need to do something in my life, if there's anything that I could do towards this goal, working with other people, nowadays it's very hard to get anything done just by yourself. You need a team of talented people. That's where Aria University comes into play, right? I have access to so many professors, who are experts in Carnatic music, Kuchipudi dance, Bharatanatyam dance, Hindustani music, the Telugu language, Sanskrit language. So, it also goes beyond the language. Mm-hmm. Okay, so India has such a great heritage, having this yoga, systems, meditation. Aria University is uniquely positioned to bring this rich cultural heritage of India, using this information technology to preserve, promote this ancient wisdom. Mm-hmm. So that's what excites me. Is I'm so fortunate, and as I said earlier, when you're ready for the Guru will appear for you.
Yes.
So that's how I see about my journey coming to Aria University. Is this is the right time for me to contribute. There's a strong team of people here. They all have same mission, preserving, promoting rich ancient wisdom of India to the entire world. This is where Aria is and its mission, and I'm really passionate about being part of this mission.
Great, great. Maybe we can even kickstart a podcast on the same, and have share your insights and a little more deep conversations, just centric around what you just spoke. That would be fantastic, and it would be also documented so that we can have our own, creation of something really for the next generations in all these languages.
Right. One other thing I would add quickly is it's just not me, right? All the people that I come across at Aria University, they have same passion. They work here because of the passion they have. It's not like some of them volunteer their time. So many of them volunteer their time. So it's a great community here, like-minded people with the unique goal of preserving the rich ancient knowledge and practices that originated in India to the rest of the world.
Yeah. And for any further questions, or you really want to reach out to Dr. Gudivada, his contact details are also there on the website. Please feel free to reach out to him and have an exchange of conversation if you feel this is something, or this topic is something of your interest and you want to contribute from your end, and Dr. Gudivada is all ears. Thank you so much, Gudivada.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
Any final closing comments from your end?
Right. That's this is what I believe. That's what I've been practicing. Right. Whatever you do it with passion. Right. I don't remember who said this, but I still remember. even if you do foolish things, do them with passion. So honestly, so I think that a passion should drive everything we do. We all can discover a passion. All of us have passion for something. So if you can discover that passion, work becomes fun, right? So you enjoy. It's not a chore. You enjoy what you do. So that's how I feel about working at Aria University. It's not work. It's something that you cherish. You enjoy.
I must say that the passion that you brought in today on Aria on Air is something I personally will cherish. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful 45-minute journey, Aria on Air, and thank you so much for your time and your availability. We really appreciate and looking forward for great more things under your eminent leadership, and hoping 2026 brings in all the promises that we have put forward, our passion, and a lot more happening on Aria. Please do visit our website, and for any questions on spring enrollments, do reach out to us, admissions@aria.edu. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week.